to help those who are beginners who are starting to wholesale. Now, the first thing you want to know is the market has changed. And what I mean by the market has changed is, with anything, the market is always evolving, it's always changing. And we're kind of having an accelerated market based on policies that have come from the Federal Reserve, interest rates, hikes, etc. Now, with that being said, there are plenty of deals available for people to snatch up, plenty of deals for you to wholesale, plenty of deals for you to make money off of with real estate. You can do this remote, or you can do it in your own backyard. Now, let's get into one of the most important parts of wholesaling real estate, which is the marketing. Many people will shy away from wholesaling and finding property because they're not really good at marketing. It's the truth. It's like the sad truth, but it is what it is. So what you want to be able to do is you want to find ways to differentiate yourself in the market from other people who are attempting to do the same thing. If and when you do this properly, this will not only set you apart from everyone else, but you're going to begin to have more and more deals come your way over the long term. All right. So we want to think about the long-term game. Now, with that being said, branding does eventually play a part, but initially, no one will know who your company is. Like, no one's going to care about your company, none of that stuff. However, what these prospective sellers will care about is the fact that your company, your organization, or you as an individual is the primary person who is trying to help them out of their situation. All right. So let's do an example. Let's say you're dealing with people who may be behind on their mortgage payments, and you can now be successful with helping them because you're going to take a different approach from everyone else in the market. Most people in your market, more than likely, are going to give people the same old song and dance of sell your house to me, sell your house fast, give me your house, etc., etc. One of the ways you can be different in the market is that you can reach out to those same prospects whom you know are behind on their mortgage, and you can simply offer them maybe a 5-step checklist to help them get out of foreclosure. Maybe you can offer them 3 resources that are 100% free to help them catch up with their mortgage. If you do this, not only will you separate yourself in the market from everyone else, but you'll be more likely to have an ongoing conversation with them. And in the event that they maybe don't utilize all of your resources, you have a reason to follow up with them later on to see how their progress is going. This will actually end up leading you to a sale. And I did this personally, like literally personally. I mean, I went really, really deep into the marketing portion of this and actually getting into a segment. And this led me to actually acquire millions of dollars of real estate using the subject to method, in which I didn't have to utilize my own credit. And in many cases, I didn't have to use my own money to acquire those and add them to my portfolio. You can do the exact same thing, but you have to separate yourself in the market. You cannot have the success that I'm speaking of if you are someone who is going to approach it like everyone else. You have to do something different. So another example of this is, if you're going after people, if you're looking for prospect sellers who, for example, have inherited a property, right? What you could do to separate yourself in the market from every other person who's also pursuing them is take the perspective of, hey, Miss Johnson, I understand that you just inherited a property from a loved one. I want to go ahead and help you in this process. Reach back out to me because I would like to give you 2 resources that can help you in your journey. One resource could be a CPA that you've networked with. The next resource could be a real estate attorney, or a probate attorney, or an estate attorney that you network with. Another resource could be a template that one could use in reference to their property, maybe giving them a property checklist, right? Maybe giving them an estate readiness packet, which could have various templates and information about what they should do when they have or when they're expecting to inherit a property. By doing that and giving them that checklist, right, or that guide, you now have a reason to follow back up with Ms. Johnson. And if, for example, Ms. Johnson says, hey, I've reached out to that attorney you gave me, I reached out to the CPA you gave me, that CPA let me know that if I continue to hold on to the property, that I'm gonna have to pay an estate tax of 50%. I would rather go ahead and sell the property to you, right? These are simple yet easy things that you can do to separate yourself in the market. Another thing in reference to marketing is you want to be the person that digs deep into a market and not someone who's looking to be very broad into a market. So for example, what I did in the markets that we're in is I looked for specific type of sellers and I went and dug deep into that market, deep into the marketing message, deep into the personas of the people that we help. So I'm not someone who's just saying to people, hey, sell me your house. That's not the approach that we take. And that's why we have a lot more success than other people, because what people are telling you to do, what they're telling a lot of newbies to do, and that I believe they're telling newbies to do this as a way to really have them burned out in the market, is they're telling newbies to take the shotgun approach of, I help everybody, let me buy your house, sell me your house, sell me your house, sell me your house, take the same old 50%, cash on cash offer, and let's do the deal. Meanwhile, people that are really making a staple and a foothold in your market, that's not the approach they're taking. They're taking strategic approaches. They're networking with real estate attorneys, and they're networking with probate attorneys, and they're networking with foreclosure attorneys, and they're able to get access to more leads. They're able to get access to more referrals. They're networking with other realtors and professionals, contractors in their area, so that, for example, like one of the companies that I network with is a roofing company. And the reason that I network with this roofing company is when someone calls the roofing company, obviously their roof needs to be repaired. In some cases, people cannot afford to repair the roof. And if they're not living in the home, because they might have leaks, right, from the roof needing repair, what ends up happening is they have to consider selling the property. So then that person becomes a referral or a lead, and it becomes a warm lead. So now the roofing manager or the sales rep who's out there talking to them says, hey, listen, I understand that these repairs they can be expensive. It's going to be, various thousands of dollars. Here's another option. Here's a company that deals with other families inheriting property. Or here's a company that deals with helping other families in your situation decide what to do with the property. They move very quickly. Here's the phone number. Here's the card. Reach out to my buddy Leland, and he'll be able to have a phone conversation with you and see what works best for you. I don't know if they can help you or not, but at least here's the information, right? You want to be able to dig deep into the market and stop being so broad. If you really want to be successful, you need to dig deep. Now, there's a great book about this. It's called 6 Feet from Gold. And I'll give you guys a quick example as a wrap up. There's a story about a man who owned a diamond field. In actuality, and to be completely honest, and this story takes place in Africa, okay? And so there's this man from Europe who comes from Europe, and he was told that there are literally diamonds just sitting on the top of the soil in various parts of Africa. So he goes to this African country and he buys land there, all right? And initially there were diamonds rested on the top soil of the land. Over time, all of the diamonds that were on the surface level have been depleted. So what he ends up doing is he says, you know what? There's no diamonds here. It's pointless of me owning this land. I've gotten all that I believe that I could get out of this land. I'm gonna go ahead and sell it. So he sells it to another individual who also has been mining diamonds for, let's say 10 years. This guy is also from Europe as well. And so the guy's like, okay, cool. I'll buy the land from you. He says, well, how much will you give it for me? And the guy said, well, how much do you want for it? He said, well, to be honest, there's not really many diamonds here. You're just buying the land just to have it. So I'm willing to give it to you at a very steep discount. So the guy who's a professional, he says, sure, no problem. I'll take it off your hands. And what the guy who's a professional ends up doing is he ends up paying a consultant, hiring a like kind of almost like a construction company, and the consultant had the right machinery or tools to investigate or to survey the land. Come to find out, there were huge underground mines within or under this land, under this parcel of land. But the issue is that you had to have the right machinery to dig deep enough to reach the mine. The moral of the story is this: there are a lot of people that when they perceive or they hear about the real estate market being hot, when during the pandemic, while interest rates were at an all-time low, while foreclosures were paused, right? And that caused prices to skyrocket. There are many people who decided to get their real estate license all of a sudden, right? They're like, hey, this is the time, this is my opportunity to go ahead and get in and strike it hot, right? And during that time frame that we had the actual pandemic, what was happening metaphorically is that people were finding diamonds on the top soil. In other words, people were closing deals that were a lot easier and readily available, primarily because of just the market's conditions. Over time, markets change, just like in the allegory or the story that is given in his book called Six Feet Away from Gold, from diamonds, whatever it's called. I think it's called 6 Feet of Gold. Nonetheless, over time, markets change. And it's not that there's not success in a particular market, it's that the approach needs to adjust to the current market conditions. And so what ends up happening is that those who understand the importance of getting professional expertise, those who hire consultants, those who hire coaches, and they understand that there's more opportunity in the market and that they want to not only seek it out, but they're willing to invest to dig deeper into the market, they always succeed. They always win, right? This is literally the equivalent of when the real estate market crashed. There was still a remnant of people, a small amount of people that chose that time during the quote unquote crash, right? From 2008, etc. They chose that time to purchase more properties during that time period. As people were leaving the market, as people were running away, as people were complaining about it, there was still a small amount of people who looked at that as an opportunity and began to purchase and buy and do more deals in that time frame. And what happened? By the time of 2015 or 2012, 2013, those people made millions. They made more money. They did more transactions during the economic quote unquote downturn than people were making during the quote unquote economic boom, right? You want to be someone who understands markets and who also understands marketing, who understands the importance of digging deep into your market. Now is the time for you to network with other professionals that are still in your space. Now is the time for you to dial in and be really specific on the type of people, the type of problems that you want to solve, and become the go-to person within your market that can solve that specific problem. All right, so I hope this makes sense, especially if you're a newcomer to real estate investing. I really hope this makes sense. I want you to understand that it's not about being a one-hit wonder. You want to be able to make good base hits, metaphorically make good big base hits on a continuous basis. But you have to have a system. You have to be willing to dial in. You have to be willing to follow up. You have to be willing to invest in yourself. You have to be willing to have the right systems in place. You have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to delegate. You have to be willing to build a team. If you're not willing to do all those things, you're not serious. You're treating life as a hobby that's not meant to be. So with that being said, if you found value with this, if this has resonated with you at all, go ahead, like, share, add comments, and I'll see you in the next one.